Hi, and welcome back to the Simply Wide podcast. I'm Dennis Morton.
Hi, I'm Katie Brown.
Katie, welcome to our new spot.
I know this is our new spot. This is great. We've never been in the same. No, I can't say that. We have been in the same room for a podcast.
We've never actually met. We've never been in the same room before. This is. You're much taller than I thought.
No, but this is a new experience for us to be sitting like this in a podcast. Normally, we kind of have our own, bubble of our offices, and we're connecting differently. So excited to be here, everybody.
Yeah, but honestly, it's cool because we've always said this is like pressing record on the things we always talk about, and we do spend a lot of time just sitting there talking about the stories we're experiencing with clients, the things we're doing running a business, what's happening in the markets, and it's a lot more natural this way than it is doing it on a Zoom when we're in offices that are 10 feet from each other. So
that is true. That is true.
Yeah. So let's dive in. So here we are. We're in a new space. We're also in a new place when it comes to the markets and finances, and we're really sensing that newness and novelty from our experiences with clients. And the thing I think we want to talk about today is just how the conditions of the markets. And let's talk about the stock market is at or near all-time highs. Housing prices at or near all-time highs. Gold at all-time highs. The amount that's in money market accounts is at all-time highs. All these things that are just all of them happening at the same time. It's a little odd.
That is the weird part, because oftentimes if you see one of those things at all-time highs, the other one definitely is not.
Pick your narrative.
Right, exactly. And let's timestamp this a little bit too.
Great.
So we are in the second week of October here in 2025. So just to give some context of where we're at, as you mentioned, Dennis, we are in a place where people are feeling pretty wealthy.
Yeah. And every family is different. But the conversations that we have anymore are people maybe experiencing levels of wealth that they didn't expect to. Maybe they've been pessimistic about things for a while and things have turned out so much better than they expected that can be confusing. But I agree with you on timestamping this, but I think we've noticed a couple of times in the course of our careers that people may not remember the day or the week or the month, but at some point in the future, they may look back and say, remember the good old days? Remember when the markets were at all-time highs and this and conditions were better than we expected? And I think that's something we're really starting to explore with clients. If these are the good old days, and the last time we talked about this was in 2019, again in 2021, where you said things are really good in 19, and then 2020 happened. 2021 and then 2022 was a bear market. So we're trying to create this construct of what would you do in the good old days if you knew that moving from a position of strength.
Right. And actually, just sticking with that position of strength for a minute also, I think it is fair to recognize for some people, they feel as if, okay, there's so many possibilities ahead of me, and this is an exciting time. For other people, it's waiting for that shoe to drop.
Oh my God.
It's expecting that next big thing, that next 2022 where everything sells off. So it is a little bit challenging to kind of manage, the different mindsets that will pop up at this time. But I totally agree. Regardless of where your mindset is at in either one of those, either protecting for the future or planning thoughtfully for the future, this is a really good time to do it. And to come in with that perspective of, regardless of what I think is going to happen tomorrow, recognizing where we're at today, let's make the best of it.
Right. And, we know plenty of optimistic people and plenty of pessimistic people. I feel like it's a solid balance. I think we're firmly on the optimistic side. But I think the lesson for somebody to be kind of aware of what's happening in the markets, the lesson right now, if you've been pessimistic, I'm sorry, but you've been wrong for a little bit. If you look at, this is another timestamp. I actually took a picture of this last week. I've been waiting to do it. If you look at the S&P 500 returns, total return on the year-to-date 1, 3, 5, 10, and 15-year periods, annualized, it's like 14, 15% or more in every single one of those right now.
Okay. For anybody that may not know this, that is above historical averages.
Almost
that is
twice as high.
Yes. When we think about historical averages in the stock market, it's usually floating around maybe 10%, like 9 to 10%, spread out over periods of time. So the fact that we have 15% now for like 15 years, that that is quite extraordinary.
Yeah. And truth, and the lesson is we have no idea what's going to happen. If you were pessimistic and missed this, that's hard. But also, things are really good now. We don't know what next year is going to hold. We're not sure if, the other shoe drops or anything else. But there are things you can do. And we talk about couples a lot and the dynamic with couples and money. And it's something we see all the time. And some of the first steps, if you're going to be proactive, start with having conversations between the two of you.
Yes, absolutely. Right now, maybe talk about how comfortable you are with your level of risk and recognizing once again things are in a really good spot, but they're not going to continue on this trend line forever.
Mhm.
Make sure that you guys are both you're on the same page with how you think about risk and whether or not you could or should pull it back a little bit. Or if you've been sitting on the sidelines and you want to get your toe in the water because maybe you've been pessimistic, just once again, having that conversation, getting on the same page with where your comfort level in investing is.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing that I've heard more frequently recently, and I'm not sure if it's because of where the markets are, but sometimes there's one person in the relationship who doesn't believe the plan. I had a recent instance where the couple was deciding whether or not they could retire, when they should, and one spouse was like, "I think I'm ready to set a date." And the other one said, "Yes, but we don't have enough." And all the planning work we did was saying, yes, you have more than enough. Like we're talking about, we've factored in all the things, but they're saying we just need a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. That's a tough thing to reconcile. And I'm still trying to figure out how to bring that conversation around to something constructive, because this, again, if this being the good one, you have your health, you're younger than you're ever going to be. What do you do today to enjoy the fruits of your labor? And if getting more occupies that much more of your time and energy, that's not exactly a healthy thing.
I think pulling that conversation into what would you do with more might be
Oh, I like that.
helpful
I like that.
because and sometimes I'll have that conversation with clients too. You could work a couple more years, but is that going to change your lifestyle? Are you going to live your life differently? Or are you just creating a bigger legacy for your family or charitable, which is that's fantastic if that is your goal. But understanding what does more mean to you, if you feel as if you need more, where is that going to show up? And if there's not a good solid answer for that, then maybe you don't need more. Maybe you're landing at enough.
One of my favorite images that we pop up in a financial plan anymore is we'll show a chart that has the expenses plotted along a line and then the sources of income plotted along the way. And we'll show, there are certain clients where we're showing them by the time you get into your 70s, especially late 70s, your Social Security plus your required minimum distributions from your IRA are going to be more than your projected expenses. So that's just what you have to take out. What if you took some of that future, when you're 80 years old? I don't know if your quality of life is going to be the same at 65, but what if you pulled forward some of that spending to
Mhm.
when you could actually use it in the high quality years? And that's really giving people some pause.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you say people don't always believe their plan, I think the part that is very difficult or can be difficult to really embrace is that compounding. So you're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You have your Social Security coming in. Some of our clients have pension income. Some of our clients have, buyouts from a business that they sold that, they may have several years of that buyout period. So they have some nice income streams coming in for a number of years, and they may not be depending on the portfolio, and that portfolio is growing all the while. But even if they get up to a point, and I think this is fascinating too, we have some clients that are taking, you know, $10,000 distributions per month, more than that, $20,000 distributions per month. But if their portfolio is generating more than they're taking out, they feel like they're spending a lot of money. But if their portfolio is growing faster, guess what? That pile of money is getting bigger. And that's the part I think that is challenging sometimes for people to believe or to recognize, like, but I'm spending it, I'm using it, but you're not doing it as fast as it's growing. Because you know what? Guess what? You've done a great job saving. You've done a great job preparing.
Right.
And it's I love it when families feel like they can reward themselves for that. But not everybody has that same feeling yet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's a huge pivot. And I think sometimes the spending is equated like, what if this all stops? What if the good times just, and they don't just stop. flippantly joke, the world's only going to end once. It's not going to matter what's in your portfolio.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just stop. There's progressions, there's ebbs and flows and everything else. So coming back to like, what are the things that someone could or should do in the good old days? I think the first thing that I would recommend is, one, don't let your pessimism force you into paralysis. This is a time to be
Yes.
proactive, not to say, I've had some clients call up and say, should I take a lot of money off the table now? No, not necessarily. Like you're diversified, you're balanced. It's time to take proactive steps, not shut it down.
Agree. Agree. I think that's actually one of the most dangerous things
Oh
that
yeah.
people can do when they say, all right, I'm going to take a huge piece of risk off the table and I'm going to, put aside 3 years of cash. The thing about the markets, they can be irrational far longer than we can be rational.
Right.
We don't know how long this ride is going to last. We could have another April of 2025. What? The markets dropped almost 20% and then they recovered within about a month.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
here we go. We've
there we
taken
go.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
there. So you just never know. Even when it feels like things are like unraveling, you don't know how long it's going to last.
It would be a great kind of psychological test at the end of this year, or maybe beginning of next year, to look back and say, what happened in April of 2025? And how well people remember it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Like, what was the driver? Because you're right, we're sitting here in October,
Yeah.
and it was a speed bump. It was a pullback, a significant pullback, but still like a speed bump in the long term.
But I think it's recognizing those things are going to happen, and that's okay for those things to happen. Once again, going back and making sure that families are comfortable with the level of risk that they have, that they can weather through that, and that they know during those time periods, they still know where their income is coming from, and that you could have some consistency and stability, even if the markets don't feel stable at the time.
Right. I think some of the most valuable conversations we're having now are people are saying, let's accelerate our gifting either within the family or charitably. I think we're having a lot of conversations. I even had a prospective client say, we've decided to come on board and become a client. And we just had a family meeting and we told all the kids that we're going to start working with you. And we want them to work with you too, because we want to start doing some gifting. We want to start integrating them. We want them to have accounts. That's the kind of stuff that you want to see happening. Like that got me really excited. If I could bottle that up and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, my morning as well, prior to coming into here, was a family I've been speaking with for a while, recently retired, and they've always been philanthropic. But they reached out this morning. They're like, you know what? We're going to endow a position at our previous alma mater, and we're really excited to kick this off. And let's talk about the most efficient way to do that. And it's exciting to see their confidence in showing from the planning work that we've done, and this is a family we worked with for a number of years. So we've gone through some of these ebbs and flows in the markets, and they are ones that really have leaned into the planning process and recognized that they can do this, and they're excited about it.
I think one thing I'm going to try and do as an advisor between now and the end of the year is try and capture some of this confidence. I mean, we've seen, even going through, remember how pessimistic people were in 2021, 22, 23? Like the pessimism gauges that we follow were really, really low. Like over the last 50 years, there had never been such low levels of optimism and everything. I kind of want to build up this sense of confidence in the people we serve and try and pull that forward into the future. So the next time we have things that are not so good, they're still rooted in like, but you're still fine. Like you can still remember those things that you did? The plans that you set in the fall and winter of 2025, you can still do those things, even if things aren't priced to perfection.
I do think that's part of the importance of planning consistently and ongoing, because we have some of our best planning conversations in the depths of market corrections. And to be able to pull it up and say, you're still okay. And if you still have any angst, we know where the different levers are that we can pull to make sure that you're in a good, solid position and that we're managing through. I do think, though, you have to build that foundation to be able to recognize at a time like this, let's make sure you're doing the productive things to help build that confidence and that foundation for when we get these waves of whatever's going to happen.
This kind of ties it, again, going behind the scenes of running an advisory business. One of the most fascinating things that I saw in the last week, remember we talked about our big, hairy, audacious goal?
Which time we talk about it a lot.
We talk about it a lot. Well, anyway, we had our offsite, and you happen to pull up the spreadsheet because we're planners, not just for our clients and financial. We plan for the business, and we're very intentional about what we do. And you pulled up a spreadsheet that we wrote 5 years ago about our 10-year plan, and year by year, it had all the metrics: how many clients we would have, how many employees, or our asset levels, all those things. We were like a stone's throw away from every single one of those metrics. And that's going through, I think, 3 bear markets in that window of time.
Right.
And we see the same thing in client financial plans. You ever pull up one of those old plans and it's like, we've been here for working with people for a decade. And through all of the stuff that's happened, we're close, if not exceeding the expectations of those plans. And it's a validation of just be intentional about it.
Exactly. I do think when you talk about it, when you write it down, you keep it at the forefront, it's amazing how things can come together. But you're right, there's an intention that's needed.
We talk about it when clients come in for a meeting. A good act for us would be to encourage clients to do that together before they come into the meeting and after. Have these conversations yourselves. Get creative. What are the things you always wished you could do? Now might be a really good time to do exactly that.
It's something that you can't do exactly right now. Put it in the plan, put it out there, and see if it's something that could be worked toward. I mean, we are not at some big goals that we have set for ourselves yet, but we're working toward it, and we're putting the effort in the conversation and including our team. So you're right. Might not be something you can check the box on today, but it gives you something to look forward to and think about the possibilities of.
Right. Yeah. And I think we talk about regret setting sometimes. You don't want to wait 10 years to say, I wish we would have thought of that years ago. Try and think of it now, get it together.
Yeah.
Because these are the good old days.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think even in there, make sure that if you have loose ends, take care of those loose ends too. Get your estate documents done. Make sure that you are, you have your files organized, and that, if you're in a relationship, your spouse knows where to go for what.
Yes.
So just take care of those ongoing maintenance items and make sure that those loose ends are tied up.
Yeah, I think this is a timely conversation. We wrote about this years ago. I think we continue to pull it forward because we're optimists by nature, and let's be proactive and see what we can do with the plan.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Simply Why, a podcast about money and purpose. We hope you enjoyed getting to know us, how we approach leading a financial advisory practice, and the work we do every day to help families and couples make important financial decisions.
Morton Brown Family Wealth is an SEC-registered investment advisor. This podcast is designed for educational and informational purposes and not intended as investment advice. More information can be found at www.mortonbrownfw.com. They're facing the audience and they're turning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. So
Okay.
Imagine you're on the Today Show.
Okay.
A comedian. This is your make or break. This is your make or break. Like your dream scenario.
We talk about places you never expect to be.
So,
dream scenario.
Your
That
dream
is not
scenario.
my dream
You-
scenario.
The curtain opens. Oh my gosh. That would be horrible.